All right, everybody. Thank you so much for showing up to today's episode of the Provoke Coach podcast. So, I have on a special guest, Nada Vergili. I have been waiting to have you on my podcast for quite some time now because of, kind of the impact that you had on me and everybody that was a part of, your company and still is a part of this culture that wow, it's hard to replicate. So, Nada, you have the floor. Tell us who you are and where you come from.
Grazie, Clinton. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure, and I feel honored to be your guest today. So sono di Firenze. Parliamo italiano. We can speak Italian.
Yes, go for it.
So I'm from Florence, and I've been in the U.S. now for, I cannot believe I'm saying this, officially 20 years. This just a few days ago was my 20th anniversary of coming to the U.S. So it's
Why did you come here? I mean, what brought you to the United States?
Well, there were a series of reasons so I was living in Florence and working there and had my whole life. And my ex-husband actually was the reason. So at the time, of course, I had fallen in love with him. He came to Italy and spent some time in Florence, and so we met while he was in Florence. And us Italians, we follow our hearts. So I came over, and I had a dog at the time, and he died. So it was like this crushing moment, but also at the same time, I was looking forward to starting my life with my new husband. So it was like this bittersweet time of my life. And yeah, I've never moved back since. I've traveled, gosh, so many times, countless times back and forth. And I feel very lucky. I'm very grateful that I feel like I have one foot there and one foot here.
Well, and I want to roll back to the past, but I guess before we do, tell everybody, about you and your company. Now we fast forward 20 years later. Can we talk about that just for a second? I know that, that's,
Sure.
that's something special. Let's talk about that.
So I'm a bit of your classic cliche story of the immigrant who comes to the US with $100 in their pocket and a suitcase full of dreams. That was pretty much me. And so I really wasn't sure what was going to happen. I was away from family, from friends. It was, like I said, kind of a bittersweet time of my life because I was starting over, but I was also letting go of so much. So I had to create a new structure around me, and also my who I was here, who I wanted to be. I was in my early 20s. So it's a crucial time for many people at that time in their lives to know who they are. So the one thing that really helped me kind of have this, it kept me having this dream and excitement, was this connection to my culture and my country, because I saw so many people were responding so positively to the fact that I was from Italy. I felt like
Sure. Yeah.
Superman, away from the planet, what was it, Krypton?
Yeah.
And I felt very special, different. I felt like I didn't fit in, but I also felt very special because people were just so welcoming, and they wanted to know more. They wanted to know about the language, the culture, and that was really the beginning, because I started teaching Italian, and it was just these practical courses for people to go to Italy and be able to get around a little bit and learn, how to pronounce menu items and and order some vino and parmigiano on their pasta and so on. So I just saw this passion for Italy and my country just grow, and I was this like channel that could express that excitement and tell them about these places they might have not heard of, right? Where they could go to instead of just Rome, Florence, and Venice, which many of us have heard about. And of course, I love my city. I love Florence. I think everybody needs to go to Florence. But there's just so much beyond that as well. And so I wanted to express that, to transmit that to people and tell them that they could see the country, my country in this case, in a little bit of a different way. They could feel, live it, experience it more from my perspective, my experience growing up there. I wanted them to see that side of Italy, and maybe that's what started everything.
Yeah, well, and I guess, when you were younger, when you were a kid, you saw, the school buses, coming in, right? Just full of people and only hitting, the sites that everybody knew about, right? Only that you see in the movies or you see on TV and the commercials. But there was more, right? That you wanted to really give back to not only, the community and culture where you came from, but also to the American people, because that love attraction to Italy. Like, I remember being a kid, and when you watch movies, anything to do with New York or the East Coast, is everybody's heritage came from, Italy. So everybody was talking about it. And when, movies like The Godfather came out when we were younger, everybody was like, oh my God, let's go back, let's go to Sicily, because it was really cool. So there's this infatuation.
Right.
Talk to us about, I guess, the idea of what you wanted to do, because it was more than just, the everyday life.
Sure. So, what I realized early on in life, at least in my life, was that I had a really, really hard time doing things that I didn't want to do. So, if it was something I wanted to do because I liked doing it would come natural. If it was something forced, whether it was studying in school or I don't know, other things, it just that I didn't feel in my heart, like, oh, I want to do this. It was just a huge struggle. And so the same thing happened when I started telling people about traveling to Italy. So, of course, it came natural, right? When I was teaching them these practical phrases on how to get around, a lot of the folks I was teaching were adults, and they wanted to know, okay, well, what do you recommend? Should I take the train? Should I rent a car? Where should I stay? Do you think, is it worth to go see this region or that region, whatever it may be? And so I started to give them some tips and shift my classes very, very targeted towards travelers.
Hmm.
And this was before I was even organizing trips to Italy. And so then, of course, the thought of, well, actually it was people that I was teaching that were telling me, why don't you just organize something? You're from Tuscany, and just take us to some, nice wineries and farmhouses and villas and little hilltop villages, and we'll come with you. So that really sparked the idea. But then it came down to, okay, how am I going to do this? And that's when my style kind of came in. So meaning, and by style, I mean how I like to travel. So I didn't want to, like you said, I grew up in a city with these big tour buses. I mean, they're all there, they're all like just lined up, like right along the river. I remember just walking from my mom's house down to the center of, this historic district. And you just get so used to seeing all these buses and just being surrounded by masses and crowds and so many people. So it just becomes part of the background. Like you just grow up in a city like that, you just get used to it. Like they're always there, they're always part of the background. And I just don't, I mean, of course, there's some style of traveling for everybody. There's nothing wrong with that style of traveling. But for me, the way I like to travel is I like to go deeper into the culture. I don't want to wake up I'm not a morning person, so I kind of made it a rule in my trips. Nobody's getting up at the crack of dawn. And just kind of enjoying life, I don't want to feel like I'm hurried around, rushed around. I want to have good food. Like food to me is very important. So I really modeled the trip experience around what I like to do, because initially I was the only one leading the tours. I was, just taking these brave souls with me, who were trusting me to show them Tuscany and, my hometown Florence. So I just really wanted them to feel at home, welcome. My mom she would cook dinner for everyone. I mean, it was this very like family style, just welcome. And that's how I love to travel. I like to travel that way. So everything is a mirror. It reflects my personal style of traveling, no matter where I'm going. That's how I like to be treated and how I like to move around. I don't like to be, kind of herded.
Right. If you're going, then what would you want to actually, travel exactly like you want to, right? And not be kind of on somebody else's schedule or routine. And that's what I noticed so much about, the clients and the raving fans that you had with your company, and that you still to this day, I mean, I see the post. I mean, they're still like interacting as if they traveled yesterday. I mean, they're talking about their trips and they're going back and forth, but they're talking about intricate details. Right?
Yeah.
So, and what I mean by that is like just like you said, you've now transferred the way that you want to travel into your company and built it for 15 years, right? And counting, right? Probably more now, 15, 16, 17 years, right? So now everybody's kind of following what you've created and in your kind of mission statement, if you will, that people are talking about the intricate details of the trip. I noticed, from working with a lot of the potential clients, is what they were used to is just this basic overlay trip, right? This real cheap, hunky-dory, go bump, bump, bump to these, areas that everybody else gets to see, right? It's like Disney, kind of going through and seeing everybody else's, but having those intricate details. Now, how did you get the raving fans, though? That's what I'm very interested in understanding, and I'm sure everybody else is as well. Where did that come from?
I think at the base, there's trust. I know it sounds very cliche, but I was seeing what a lot of these other, and again, I don't want to talk negative about other tour companies, but I just didn't like the operations of it. And so, again, to me, it's I don't know. I do everything in life the way, I always remember the golden rule, like treat somebody else the way you want to be treated. And for me, I was leading the groups around. I was leading the people around. I wanted to feel comfortable. Like, to me, that was very important. I didn't want this stiff, formal environment where there's them and there's me, and there's the driver, and everybody's just doing their job. I wouldn't have even started this if that was the case. Like, to me, I didn't start, to be honest with you, I didn't start with the intention of starting a company. I really just wanted to go see my family and my friends. And if I could bring some people with me and explore, I mean, I like to go see wineries and drink wine and enjoy the scenery. I mean, it's so beautiful. It's just so beautiful. Like, it doesn't matter how many times you've seen it or if you live there. Even if you live there, there's some times that you literally just go, like, every single time I go up to the Piazzale Michelangelo, and those who have traveled to Florence might have seen it, especially with us. We usually make a stop on this overlook over the city. And you have the city just smack in front of you. It's just that feeling of awe of how beautiful this is. It never goes away. It never goes away. You can go there, you could live there, you could live right there. It doesn't matter. So I wanted to have that experience with the people that I was taking. And when I started to approach others who could help me, because I was growing and it was turning into a business. So I needed now to find other tour directors who could lead the groups without me having to, spend most of my year in Italy and do tours back to back. So it was becoming overwhelming for me. It was too much, and I had to keep track of things here on this end as well. So, and it's a busy. It's like, as a job, you have 12-hour days. You're just getting up in the morning, going, getting organized, confirming all the, emails, phone calls with the restaurants. Everything has to be smooth, but there's a lot of background work. So I had to make a choice. I couldn't do that and also stay on top of emails and phone calls with clients on this end of the Atlantic. So I started to approach some people there, and it was the same thing. I had to find people who really enjoyed being around people and wanted to enjoy the experience of travel, this type of travel. So I think, going back to your question, I'm going kind of about it in a very round way, but but the how did we get raving fans? I think it's really sharing that. I mean, I feel like I'm saying all these cliches, but sharing that passion for travel and for having trust that people are there to enjoy the trip with our travelers. I mean, they're there not because, yes, of course they're doing a job too, but it's not like a numbers thing. I think that's what creates this very unique bond that we have with our clients that many other companies don't have, whether they're in travel or not. But I feel very grateful for that, because we really have this like personal relationship with them. And a lot of them, I mean, I'm still friends with some clients that I took, that were like my first clients 15 years ago, and we're still in touch. So it goes beyond just kind of a job or work or company
Well,
business.
you said something, and you maybe didn't say it, you didn't know you said it, but you were talking about the numbers, right?
Mhm, mhm,
Because a lot of these tour operators and a lot of just businesses in general, it's always about the bottom line, right?
mhm,
The ebbs and flows, getting, into the profit and profit margins and things of that nature, to where, things are just don't make sense. And what I noticed with your company is that, regardless of all that, okay, is that we always, you always wanted to make the trip for the client and the customers exactly what you painted as far as a picture, what was sold, what was marketed, because it's all very, very specific. The way that you do business, and I'm starting to see it more now after having this conversation with you, is that they all align with the one mission that you had, and that is to create an experience of awe every time instead of just about numbers. How many people can we cram into the bus, right? And waking up at 7 o'clock in the morning. Why don't business owners get that? I guess, in your opinion, from building a good company that is built on this culture and the client first type mentality, why don't others follow that? I mean, what do you think the challenge is?
That's a provoking question, Clinton. That's great.
Oh, you know why you're here, right?
No, that's great. I think sometimes people, including myself, I've done this too, we fall sort of, I don't want to use the word victim, but we get wrapped into this this wheel that's spinning, right? And you start, it's almost inevitable. I think some people, they might start with this principle of, I just want to share. Like, it could be, like, you're right, it doesn't have to be travel. It could be it could be a product, it could be a service. And they feel they have something good that they want to share with people. They get good responses. They want to take that to another level. Okay, start a business. Once you start a business, there are numbers involved. So everything has to fit in, right? I mean, I have to charge the right amount so that I can pay my employees, I can pay my team, my suppliers, the hotels, I mean, all the expenses, the restaurants, the meals, all the activities. So you have this accounting work that you have to do. You have to do if you want to stay in business. I mean, you could do anything as a hobby as long as you want, but if you're planning on, paying your bills, then you have to do that. But then I think it can take over. So I think some people lose track of the reason why they started in the first place. So if they started a business just for the money, then I think that's when you get into it's just numbers, more. If they got into it because they truly have something about themselves, it could be a part of they could be passionate about, I mean, it could be yoga, it could be anything that they're really excited about, and now they want to start a business. And if that's their driving force, people are more willing to support you and believe in you because they feel it's coming from your heart. When it's coming from just an investment perspective, I don't know. That's when I feel people lose track and lose, they lose sight of, I don't know. That's when you have stress, and I don't know. It becomes stressful. It's not enjoyable anymore, and I don't know. I think, to answer your question, at least from my perspective, I think a lot of business owners fall into that, and I'm not going to lie. I mean, I've fallen into that trap too, to the point where there's a time where I was having so much stress and anxiety because it was just trying to make the numbers and make sure everything was staying in balance. But I got caught in that trap, and then you just it's not fun anymore. And my priority, I'm never gonna be a millionaire with this philosophy, but my priority is not to have this massive goal and I have to get there, and if I don't get there, then my life doesn't have a purpose. My goal is to have a good life and to sleep well at night and to have good friends around me and be happy when the sun comes up, not be stressed out that it's another day I have to face, but be grateful. And that's how I want to live. So, I don't know. That's just my
Well, I'm
perspective.
glad that you brought that up, because, with success comes responsibility always. It seems like, look, every single time that I've always been very, very successful throughout my life, whether it be in corporate America or even, as a startup or even small companies and businesses, you come to a certain point to where it's like, look, you know, is it fulfilling enough? And am I just like you said, getting caught up in the numbers because snap your fingers and it's a year later and you go, whoa, what have I done? Right. Talk to me, I guess, a little bit from your perspective. I know for you, you've grown, exponentially over the last year.
Mhm.
Okay.
The
And
year before.
yeah, yeah. Well, no, no, no. I'm not talking necessarily in business, but I'm talking about as an individual, to
Okay.
where you've been able to ground yourself, as, I can definitely see it. I follow you as well as the rest of your raving fans. Let's talk about that for a second, because I think that, like you said, your ability to sleep well at night and your ability to surround yourself with wonderful people is now more important than ever, right? In this world that we live in. Talk to us about that a little bit.
Sure. So, I think there are times in life, in everybody's life, where whether you like it or not, you're called to stop. Sometimes we have breakdowns, sometimes we have financial breakdowns, emotional. I mean, it could be a relationship, it could be health, but it seems like at one point or another, everybody is struggling, has to struggle with something. And it's very traumatic. It's very hard. It's very painful. And it challenges every part of who you are, every bit of strength. If you thought you were strong, it's like, okay, let's test this out. And it's hard. And so, this past year with the whole pandemic has been a huge challenge. I mean, obviously financially, has hit us at the core because, with people not being able to travel, and it's been challenging to say the least. But I think also from a personal perspective, you are faced with, I don't think that true friends come up. I think it's, I can't remember who said it, but was it Rumi? I don't want to misquote, but that basically it's at nighttime that the brightest stars, you can see the brightest stars.
Right.
So it really is in the darkest times that you find out who your true friends are, who your true, like you call them, followers, or people that, believe in you and trust you and know you're gonna come through. So it's a time when we're called to recalibrate our priorities too. And it's been a very, very hard year, but I also feel that it's been a year, like you said, of growth, where it's kind of forced me further to really reevaluate what my priorities were. And it's been a lot of also looking at the business and saying, okay, and looking at my personal life, is this what I want to do? Is this like long term? Is this too much? Is it getting out of control? I had, there were things that had been done that I didn't realize that had been done, and they weren't done right. And it wasn't until after, everything kind of came crashing down, so to speak. So, I think it's definitely given me time to reevaluate a lot of things, and And I think that's not a bad thing. I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's given maybe a lot of people really, it's like you see, okay, what do I want? This is what I've done so far, what's next? And even with our trips, I feel, we don't have to hit like these insane numbers just to make the bottom line make sense. And now it's like a scaling back, but I'm okay with that. I'm okay. Sometimes I think it's okay to scale back, because in true reality you're increasing your quality of life, and you surround yourself with people who really matter to you and who support you and believe in you. So it's I don't know if we lost Clinton, but I guess I'm running the show now, you guys. But anyway, so it's giving me also this new view on nature. You're back.
Yes.
I was chatting with the audience,
Yeah, I don't know what happened
I was
there. I
about to pop
apologize.
a bottle of Prosecco.
Load it up. Let's go.
No, but basically, I was just finishing up saying, I've had the chance to also really look at things that I basically left to the side of my life. And I didn't realize I was doing that before because I was so busy. Like nature, reconnecting, gosh, gardening, what a gift. I had never, just being in touch with nature and just the cycle of life and just going really back to the base, like the most basic fundamental elements that we just take for granted every moment. It's just incredible. Like plants, falling in love. I feel like I've fallen in love with nature and plants and even life, thinking about life and thinking about death and thinking about, the fact that you need death. Sometimes something needs to die to give birth to new ideas and new things. And I think this is, if anything, is going to bring new ideas also to the business as well. So for that, I'm grateful. It's not been easy, but I think I feel like I've been getting a lot of gifts this past year too.
Yeah, that's awesome that you say that because, you know, gardening is a lot like life, right? You have to prune things back in order for it to grow properly. You have to take things away. You have to play science experiment to see what works. Things are either overwatered or underwatered, too much light or not enough light. There's infestation that takes place,
Yeah.
right? And that's the same thing in life, right? There's always these things that get in our way, right? Where we have either too much of or too little of. And I think that things like what took place, and not only just for, obviously tourism and the travel industry, but I think all over the world, it's like a reset that is a forced reset, right? That provoking moment to where you have to pivot and things change. And like you said, I think that absolutely things have gotten better in a lot of ways, now on the flip side, I know you miss your mother. I know you miss your family. I know you miss your friends. I have family here that has family in Europe that they're really missing their family as well. So we're all going to be excited when this thing gets back to normal, if it ever gets back to normal again. Talk to us about, I guess, some advice or some lessons learned over this, because you've built a company, to these raving fans over the 15 years, that you've been in business in. Everything is awesome. Have you thought about some business things or strategies? You talked about scaling back. Is it, and I guess not just the money part of it, that's one thing, but are there certain things that were extras that you're just like, we're not even going to do that anymore? Parts of business that were unnecessary, you think? Or talk to me about that a little bit.
Well, one thing that we are currently doing, that we have been doing and will continue doing, is working remotely. Technology has been such a blessing to travel businesses and so many businesses out there.
Absolutely.
It's convenient. The staff can work from home. It's flexible. If they have families, they can take care of, business at home with their families and not have to worry about commuting. And so working online has been really, really good for us. We haven't even seen each other since March. Most of us have not
Right.
actually been in the same room. So it's absolutely incredible. We have meetings and talk about, so many strategies. We've been looking at our processes, trying to simplify a lot of things and systems and old guidelines. So we've been really using this time to, in a sense, reinvent ourselves or start over, prepare for a kind of a reset, 2.0.
Right.
To where it's like, okay, well, what should we do different? How do we want to do it different? Obviously, we want our clients to still have the same expectation during their trip. But new ideas also, especially with travel, is still right now, the travel industry, excuse me, is really one of the most penalized, unfortunately. Excuse me, I have a little tickle. But so we've been really using this time to kind of look at the procedures and try to simplify things. Excuse me. So I think one thing that we probably won't be doing anymore is having storefronts.
Right.
We could still have events in the future, but probably not stores.
Right. Yeah, in those storefronts where, I hate, it sucks that you're right. Yeah, it sucks that you don't, or can't do that as much, because that was a real interesting twist to your business that, and those of you that, maybe are local, or those of you that don't know, you picture this high-end boutique, Italian store that's you almost feel as though that it's a fragrance store, because it's so upper class when you walk in. And it's actually the company's, there's employees in there for the travel company. So it's these boutique, wonderful, high-end, cool things that you get from Italy, that I remember seeing the paper was, literally made by people for hundreds and hundreds of years in a very small village. You have olive oils, you have all these limoncello. My God, I love the limoncello. That was one of my favorites. But it's this boutique store. So are you still? I know you're selling a lot of that stuff online still. Is that still kind of the plan to keep that retail stuff online, or?
Yeah, we'll probably keep some items online, especially the things that our clients like the most, that are hard to find. But I think I think nowadays you have to be flexible no matter what business you're talking about. The more flexibility you can have from the start. And this is, I guess, a little tip for any entrepreneur out there, or a new business, somebody who wants to start a business. I would say from the get-go, if you can try, especially after the lessons we've learned this past year, but if you can try to build in as much flexibility to where you can pivot, even if it's down the road, because you really don't know what's going to happen. we for us, the small group is a huge advantage because we've always done 6 to 12 people in a group, no more than 12. So,
Right.
that's a huge, now that, when travel will open up, hopefully soon, we hope that'll be an advantage for us versus companies that are used to taking 50 people on a bus. They might have a bigger struggle, in getting people on the bus where, we like to go a little more off the beaten path. But I think that that's probably the way that we're heading, is probably focusing even more so on off the beaten path, small villages. Maybe people will nowadays, with even after this pandemic passes, I think it's really given a lot of people a different outlook on society and, um,
Sure.
you know, personal hygiene and and how to protect themselves, in the future too.
Well, and I guess that brings me to a point: is Italy, is it, are they really trying to go and, I don't want to say protect, but invest in small businesses in Italy like they do here in America? To where people are trying to fight, like, look, let's help local, mom and pop shops. Like, let's try to get our money over there. Do they do the same thing in Italy? Is that such a thing so much? I hate to sound naive, but
Sure. So I think they are coming up now, the government, with some sort of stimulus package, but Italy is, gosh, I don't know the percentage, but it's pretty high. It's mostly small businesses. I mean, uh, it's got to be in the 90 percentage. I mean, it's just, there's so many small businesses, even like products that you find in stores that are exported here,
yeah.
gift items and artisanal products. Most of them are coming from small family businesses. So it's
So there's not these mecca stores that are really kind of, trying to gouge everybody out, and because of any regulations with the rules and stuff like that with the government at all, or
say that again. I'm not sure I
so,
understand.
yeah, so with any restrictions on businesses, the government is not only allowing places like Walmart, as an example, to stay open, and then everybody else has got to shut their doors. Do they have anything like that there? I mean, at the beginning or at first, or still going on? Or
I think it's a cultural thing. Italians in general are used to going to small businesses,
right,
but it's so we don't have as many franchises. Whether it's even restaurants, it's like, "Ooh, what's a franchise? What kind of food do they have there? Is it
right,
plastic?" So
right.
Italians are very into local food, local restaurants, and everything is locally owned. Not to say there aren't malls and there aren't
Sure.
supermarkets. There's a lot of the famous brands that you find here. You'll find them there in malls and shopping centers, but it's not as much. It's definitely not as much as you would see here. So, I mean, Florence, the whole city has one major shopping mall, and
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a different type of economy. And but the biggest, the obviously hospitality and tourism, travel and hospitality has been the industry that's been hit the hardest. I mean, you think of not just tour operators like myself, but everything that goes around travel. I mean, you have restaurants, hotels, drivers, all the transportation companies, all the tour guides. I mean, there's so much that's involved into the travel industry, and same thing here. I mean, you think of all the cruise lines and the airlines, and so taxis. There's So it'll be interesting to see things start back up. Everybody's ready. Everybody's ready to go.
Oh, yeah.
Italy's numbers are really great, and hopefully if we can get this thing under control soon, I think everybody's ready to travel again, and Italians are excited to welcome people there.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think that, there will be some different rules, there'll be some different regulations, but, I mean, look, in my opinion, I was talking with a gentleman from the gym industry the other day. We were talking about the same thing, how the gyms have gotten hit. And I was like, well, finally, everybody's got a clean gym to go to now, right? I mean, it's
Yeah,
like,
I hope it lasts. I
right?
hope it's same with the airlines, right?
Right? Airlines, the restaurants, everybody's real clean now. But all joking aside, though, I think that you're absolutely right. I mean, I think that the world goes around a little bit with tourism. There's a lot of things that are connected to it. So I'll be excited for things to get back rolling, and they will. It's like I tell my family here that look, that has family in Europe. I'm like, look, I mean, we can't stay closed forever. I mean, it just doesn't work that way.
I mean,
Eventually, where everybody's going to be going. So
yeah. I mean, hey, even the Black Plague during the Middle Ages eventually
right,
left, went away.
right, right, exactly. But like you said earlier, it's kind of a good reset. I think I mean, look what it was doing. I think wasn't it in Venice that the water was turning, like a nice clear
Yeah.
color, and the dolphins were swimming and all that kind of stuff. Wildlife comes back, and I think that we all needed a bit of a reset. Because
I think so.
there are a lot of companies and businesses out there that are absolutely crushing it right now. And there's companies and people that, like you said, you kind of got back to nature a little bit. You kind of
Mhm.
got back to, which I was happy to see that you were gardening. I remember that you and I used to speak
I
about that
know.
all the time. It's just it's such a stress reliever for me. Like when I am gardening and got my hands in the dirt, in the mud, and looking like a mess, like it feels good, right? Because and then when something actually grows, it's even better. It's like, holy crap, like I took crap and made something beautiful, and that's I think that's needed for people. I
Yeah.
think that I don't know if you feel like this. I'm sure you do when you go, back to Italy. Is that when I go back home to Michigan, sometimes if I get out in the woods or get out in nature or something like that, like it's almost a reset. Like my brain needed to be home.
Mhm.
Even if it was for a short period of time or just something. Do you feel like that when you go back to Italy, like that reset?
Yes, it depends obviously where I am. If I'm in nature, then I feel it even more. But yeah, or even those moments where I'll go jogging up to the Piazzale di Michelangelo overlook and just take in that view. I mean, um, it's just you and the view. That's it.
Right.
There's nothing else. So I think that moment is it's so important to have moments like that in our lives. And I get the same feeling, from gardening. You're absolutely right. You take crap. I think that's a great analogy in life too. You take something that's considered worthless and you grow something wonderful out of it. It could be flowers, it could be something you eat, you put on the table for your family. I mean, it's a miracle. I see it as an absolute miracle, and we can do that in our lives too. I feel like this is, I'd love to take my clients to some unexplored areas, maybe some regions and towns that are even more off the beaten path than what we usually do, and have that natural experience, or go to
Right.
places where you really connect with the local people too, and they want to share with you. They're just waiting to share their family recipes and have somebody that comes there and genuinely appreciates the experience and the sharing and the connection. And I think we've lost a lot of that in travel in so many of the kind of mass tourist destinations, really around the world, where people just go to check things off a list. And
Right.
I mean, is
Well,
that what travel is about? It's just checking. Is that what life is about? Is life about checking things off your list and then you die?
right. Well,
I'm not, I don't like that.
it's so funny that you say that. It's like this is, somebody's, twisted way of just teaching the world, like, snap out of it. Like, because you got to think about it. Like, everybody was really kind of going at that pace, right? They were just
Yeah.
kind of moving through that pace. Things were, and really, I mean, worldwide with the economy and everything, it was just kind of moving, like you said, checking it off the list and just kind of going with the flow and not, and, it's kind of like scrolling on Facebook, right? Just scrolling to scroll. I see people just doing that, or watching TV, just keep changing the channel, not even watching anything. You're just doing it to distract your mind. And I think that everybody was in some cases, a lot of people were very, very distracted with whatever they had going on in their world. And then boom, something like this happens. It's like this awful reset. Now, what I'm excited for is everybody that, as soon as travel is lifted, those individuals that go on those trips, I mean, it's going to be like kids in a candy store again. They're just going to love, to go on these trips to Italy, and everybody's going to love. I mean, your whole team, I mean, they're going to be super excited. Everybody's going to be excited to go. It's going to be a big surge. I mean,
Yeah.
it really is. There's
I
going to be
hope
a long
so.
waiting list. Oh, there is.
You
It's
know,
just
and yeah, and our trips aren't for everybody, and that's fine. It's really people who want that kind of pace in life, that want to enjoy things. And going back to your gardening, what you were talking about, when things were just hitting the fan, and all throughout the year, unfortunately, it was like everything is it was like a nuclear bomb exploded, right? And your mind just, it's like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, it's so scary. It's just frightening from a health perspective, but financially, business and people. I mean, it's been like so much of 2020 has been catastrophic. I mean, there's no other word that we can use, but for so many people, not just those in the travel industry. And it was like this spiral. And I was realizing that, okay, I either let this take over me, and then I'm going to just have a massive, massive heart attack from all the anxiety at some point. I mean, I laugh about it, but it's true. It was like so overwhelming, absolutely overwhelming. And at some point I was like, you know what, I need to just step outside and take a breath. And that's when I really, my mind stopped, and I started to look at the trees and the sun and the sky, and the birds were chirping, and I felt the wind, and it's like, and then this connection to nature, which brought me back to reality, to what's real, to, like you said, the dirt, feeling the dirt. That's real. That's it's happening. It's not in my mind. It's not this like, Vitamix that's going off. It's
right.
real. It's right now. I can plant something. I can feed it. I can watch it grow. Or maybe it doesn't grow. Maybe it dies, but then, something else happens. So there's birds, there's insects, and it really brought so much peace to me. And I think that's maybe what a lot of people are looking at right now, even with their travel experience. It's not being able to travel, especially for a lot of our clients who, they live to travel. They've worked hard. A lot of them are retired, and they've waited their whole lives to be able to travel, and they feel like this year was such a waste of precious time to do something that they absolutely love. So it's been hard on them too. And I think now it's really going back to, okay, how do I want to experience it? You know, how do I want to experience traveling and having those experiences? Do I want to go back to just running and having the Vitamix go off, or do I want to appreciate the little things? You know, I think for me, there's no going back. I know what my decision is.
Well, and I think for a lot of people that, look, like I said, they've reset. And I think what they're going to experience now is more of that fresh time. It's like the first time you've seen something, right? To where it does take your breath away, and I think that, for all of us, I mean, you said some interesting things, is that you're right. I mean, with anything, and not just travel, but all of this, there's a huge sense of anxiety and this stress that's out there because, look, I don't know about you, but sometimes it's stressful to go to the grocery store. I mean, it is stressful to walk around and see people with masks on all the damn, all the damn time, inside or outside. It's like, damn it, so you're absolutely right. I think that when it is an opportunity to travel again, which will be coming up, it's going to be a different feeling that people are going to be getting
Yeah.
traveling. And I think
Yeah, I
people
think
will appreciate it more.
Yeah, I think there's so much like uncertainty. It's that uncertainty of not knowing what it's going to happen in the future, what's going to happen tomorrow. It's hard to make any plans. You know, we usually as humans we're so excited about making plans. You know, in our lives. Okay, I'm going to do this with work, with travel, with family, and we can't. Nobody can make plans now because we don't know. There's just this uncertainty, and so like I said, for me it's like being in that moment in nature, gardening, doing something that I love has been so absolutely essential at this time. And I think that's going to happen, like you said, you know, even in travel. It's just getting back into those real moments of not rushing, where you're just keeping your mind busy and checking things again off that list, but really doing something intentionally, you know, where you're enjoying, you're in the moment, all the way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Wow. This is awesome. Thank you so much for sharing all this. No wonder why you've built such a culture, because I can see that, 15 years ago, exactly what you're experiencing and finding now, maybe a different version, right? Because now you have all this wisdom from all the years of doing business, successfully. Now you're combining the two forces, the absolute passion, getting back to your roots, and now, kind of resurfacing and reinventing, like you said, the
Mhm.
experience. That's going to be a super, super, super exciting, not only for you, but for everybody that gets to go with you, on these trips, and with your team, to be a part of it. I still keep in contact with a lot of your team, and, they're just such awesome people. I mean, look, I can't speak any more highly of the level of talent that you were able to find. All these Italians, in America, you were able to find them all in one spot, you know. Uh, and it was definitely exciting surrounding myself around, you know, um, not only did people, kind of leave it with this, is that the company that you created, not only were they raving fans, customer wise and clients, but also, employees. They took their job extremely seriously to be able to provide that value to the clients and customers, to paint that vision of what their experience to Italy was going to be like, and even other parts of, of the world as well. But they took it seriously, the training, the intricate details. And I remember, thinking, and I think I put it in one of my posts this week, of like, is this like this kind of fake heritage, this Italian heritage, that you kind of hear about, but it was all real. I mean, from people walking in and just, smelling an awesome scent, from one of the awesome places there, or grabbing a cup of coffee,
Mhm.
that was quite interesting. So you've built something awesome, and I can't wait to see the 2.0 version of
Just
Nada
2.0, that's right. Starting over.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting, and I appreciate you sharing the honesty today and tonight. That's important to me and everybody else that's listening as well. To find those provoking moments to where you've provoked positive change not only in your life but in the lives of many, many, many people over the last 15 years. So thank you so much.
Thank
Um,
you. Thank you, Clinton. It's been a pleasure.
yes,
It's been like this therapeutic moment.
yeah, for all of us. That's awesome. I want to go to Italy though, and I want to have a glass of wine, and I want to eat pasta. And I
Enjoy,
want
enjoy life. Enjoy
yeah,
life. Sometimes things happen and there's no plan. And I think sometimes it's the spontaneous things that surprise us, right?
yes,
And that you can always make something beautiful grow out of crap. That I
right
think
out
is
of
the
crap.
takeaway.
That's awesome. Well, thank you everybody for listening in. I appreciate everybody's time. If you liked it, share it. Look on as far as Nada's Italy, I'm going to have it scroll here at the bottom. On Facebook, on Instagram, you have it all right here. So write it down. It is recorded. We are going to go ahead and post everything to Spotify, for iTunes as well. Go check out Nada's Italy. Go to nadasitaly.com. Buy some olive oil. My wife still uses it. It's awesome. Limoncello is to die for. The candies, I can't wait for those to come in. I want to be part of those.
I
Yeah.
know.
Thank you so much, everybody. We'll talk soon.
Grazie, ciao a tutti.